There's a moment in every marriage where something small breaks, something big. Not a fight, not an affair, not a dramatic scene. Just a laugh. Her laugh. At me. In front of 6 people I'd never met. And the way she looked at me after, like she was checking whether I'd flinch, that was the moment I understood something I'd been refusing to understand for 2 years. She didn't respect me anymore. Maybe she never did. My name is Marcus. I'm 38. I was married for 6 years. And this is the story of the night I finally went quiet, and what that silence cost us both. I need to give you some context before I get to that night, because without it, the joke doesn't land the way it landed on me. When I met Claire, I was 31. I was lean. I was training 5 days a week. I ran a half marathon every spring. Fitness wasn't a hobby. It was how I managed my life, my stress, my head. Claire used to say that's what attracted her to me, that I was disciplined, focused. She'd send me photos when I was at the gym with captions like, "My guy," and little heart emojis. We got married in 2018. Small ceremony. Her family, mine, about 40 people total. I remember her crying when she saw me at the altar. I cried too. We weren't those people, but we were that day. Then life happened. I got promoted at work. Long hours, a lot of client dinners, a lot of airport food and hotel bars and late nights at my desk. By 2021, I'd put on about 18 kilos. Not overnight, slowly, the way it always happens. You stop noticing until one day you really look in the mirror and the person looking back is someone you almost recognize. I wasn't embarrassed about it. I knew it was temporary. I was working through a brutal stretch and I told myself I'd get back to it. The gym membership was still there. The intention was still there. But Claire noticed, and for a while she said nothing. Then she started saying small things. Not cruel things. Just small things. "Are you sure you want seconds?" At dinner. "You used to run. What happened to that?" On a Sunday morning. Little comments dressed up as concern. I told myself that was love, that she was looking out for me. I was wrong about that. Claire had a group of friends she'd known since university. I liked most of them. Priya was warm and funny. Jessica was sharp and a little exhausting, but meant well. Then there was Donna. Donna had been divorced twice by 36 and had opinions about everything, especially other people's relationships. Every time we had dinner with Donna, I came home feeling subtly undermined in a way I could never quite put my finger on. Claire loved her, said she was real. That October, Claire told me she'd made dinner plans with Priya, Jessica, Donna, and 3 other women from a book club she'd joined, and she'd told them to bring their husbands or partners. I didn't think much of it. I said fine, I'd come. We went to a restaurant downtown. Nice place, the kind with small portions and loud acoustics and wine lists that scroll sideways on an iPad. We were at a long table, 8 of us. I knew maybe 3 of the people there. The evening started fine. Drinks, introductions, some laughs. I was making an effort, asking questions, listening, doing the thing you do when you want your wife to feel proud you're there. About an hour in, the conversation drifted to fitness. Someone at the table, one of the book club husbands, mentioned he'd just done a triathlon. Claire looked across the table at me with what I thought was a smile. It wasn't a smile. She said, and I'm going to quote this exactly because I replayed it approximately 400 times in the 3 days that followed. "Oh, Marcus used to be really fit. You should have seen him when we met. Now he's more of a comfort food era." The table laughed. Politely at first, the way people laugh when they're not sure if something is a joke or an opening for a bigger joke. Then Donna laughed properly, the real kind, and said, "Comfort food era, I love that." And Claire laughed too. I looked at her. She was looking at the table, still smiling, picking up her wine glass. She didn't look at me. I smiled. I don't know why. Some automatic thing. Some reflex that said, keep the room comfortable. Don't make this worse. I picked up my own glass and I took a long, slow sip, and something in me went completely, totally quiet. We drove home in near silence. Claire talked. She always talked on the way home from dinners, deconstructing the evening, who said what she thought of so-and-so's new haircut. It was one of her things. I gave one-word answers. She didn't notice. Or she noticed and decided it wasn't worth addressing. We got home. She went upstairs. I sat in the kitchen for a while with the lights off, not thinking dramatically, not planning anything, not crying, not running through speeches in my head, just sitting, like a system that had been running hot for a long time and finally just stopped. I went to bed late. She was already asleep. In the morning, she made coffee like nothing happened. She had her phone out, scrolling. I poured myself a cup and stood at the counter and looked at her. I tried to find the version of her that had taken photos of me at the gym with little heart emojis. I couldn't find her. I went to work. I sat through 3 meetings. I ate lunch alone at my desk because I didn't feel like talking to anyone. That evening, I got home before Claire. I made dinner. Pasta, simple, enough for 2. I set the table. She came in around 7, said the pasta smelled good, sat down, and started telling me about something that happened in her office. I listened. I asked a follow-up question. I cleared the plates. I did not say one word about the night before. Not because I was avoiding it, not because I was building towards some explosion, because something had shifted in me and I genuinely wasn't sure what to do with it yet. After dinner, she went to the living room to watch TV. I went to the spare room. We used it as a home office, and I sat at the desk. I opened a document on my computer, and I started writing. Not to her, not a letter, just for me. Just the things I'd been not saying for 2 years. I wrote for about an hour and 40 minutes. When I was done, I read it back, and I realized something that should have been obvious to me a long time before that moment. I had been disappearing inside this marriage, not because of the weight comments, not because of that dinner. Those were just the surface. I'd been disappearing because somewhere along the way I had stopped mattering to my own wife as a person, and I had let it happen. I had smiled politely and picked up wine glasses and given one-word answers on car rides home and told myself it was fine. It wasn't fine. It hadn't been fine for a long time. On day 3, a Thursday, I woke up before Claire. I made coffee. I sat at the kitchen table, the same chair, the same light, and I made a decision. Not out of anger. Anger had nothing to do with it. There was no anger left, actually. Just clarity. I was going to leave. Not that day, not in a scene, not with a speech, but I was going to leave this marriage and I was going to do it with the same quiet that had been living in me since the restaurant. I went to work. On my lunch break, I called my brother Daniel. Told him what was happening. Not the whole story, just enough. He didn't say much. He knew, I think. He'd met Claire enough times to know. He said, "You can stay here as long as you need to." That was enough. That evening, Claire told me she'd made plans with Donna on Saturday. I said that was fine. She asked if I was okay. Said I'd been quiet. I said I was just tired from work. She nodded and went back to her show. Friday night, after she fell asleep, I packed one bag. Not everything, just what I needed. Work clothes, my laptop, the watch my dad gave me when I got my first job, a book I'd been reading, my passport. I put the bag in the boot of my car at 11 p.m. so she wouldn't see it in the morning. I came back inside. I made sure all the lights were off. I stood in the doorway of our bedroom for a moment. Not to be dramatic, not for a last look, just because it felt right to take a second before a big thing. She was asleep. The room was dark. I went to the spare room and slept on the pull-out sofa. Saturday morning. Saturday she was up early, in a good mood. She had plans. She was going shopping with Donna before dinner. She was bright in the way she got before social things she was looking forward to. I made eggs. We ate together. I asked what she and Donna were doing. She told me. I nodded. She kissed me on the cheek before she left. The automatic kind, the habit kind, and said she'd be back by 8. I said okay. I listened to her car leave the driveway. Then I called Daniel and told him I was coming. I took the bag from the boot. I went back inside and wrote a letter. 2 pages, handwritten, calm. Not accusatory, not a list of grievances, just honest. I told her I wasn't angry. I told her I wasn't punishing her. I told her I just couldn't keep being someone she joked about to strangers at dinner. I told her I'd loved her, and I thought I still did somewhere deep down, but that what we had wasn't a marriage anymore. It was a performance, and I was tired of performing. I told her I'd be in touch through a solicitor. I left the letter on the kitchen table with her spare key on top of it. I drove to Daniel's. What she did, narrator recounting. Still even. She texted at 8:14 p.m. Just, "Where are you?" I didn't reply. She called 3 times before 9 p.m. I didn't pick up. At 9:47 p.m., she texted again. Longer this time. She'd read the letter. She said she didn't understand. That it was just a joke. That I was overreacting. That she loved me and we could talk about this. I read it. I didn't reply. Over the next 4 days, she texted 12 more times and called 9. The messages cycled through confusion, then frustration, then something that looked like genuine grief. On day 5, she texted, "Was it really the restaurant, or was it everything?" I sat with that one for a long time. Then I typed back, "Everything." I put the phone down. That was the last thing I said to her directly for 3 months, until we met with our respective solicitors to begin the process. I want to be careful here, because I'm not telling this story to paint Claire as a villain. She wasn't a villain. She was someone who had slowly stopped seeing me. Maybe because of how I'd changed, maybe because of something in her, maybe because that's just what happens sometimes in marriages that aren't tended carefully enough. And I'm not completely innocent in what happened to us. I let things slide. I smiled when I should have spoken. I made it very easy for her to treat me as background noise because I kept showing up quietly and not requiring anything. The joke at the restaurant wasn't what ended my marriage. It was the thing that finally made me admit the marriage had already ended. I lost 18 kilos in the 8 months after I left. Not because of her, because I finally had the space to be myself again. I'm back to running. I did a half marathon in April. I crossed the finish line and cried, and I wasn't sure if I was crying because I was tired or proud or just relieved to be back inside my own body. Probably all 3. I'm not with anyone now. I'm not in a hurry. Some mornings I sit at Daniel's kitchen table. I have my own place now, but I still go there for coffee on Saturdays. And I think about that drive home from the restaurant. The one-word answers. The wine glass. I don't think about it with bitterness. I think about it with something more like gratitude, because that silence, the one that started in a loud restaurant over a stupid joke, that silence was the first honest thing I'd felt in years, and I followed it all the way home. If you've been quiet for a long time in something that should have been loud. I see you. Not every ending is an explosion. Some of them are just a drive home where you finally stop talking, and sometimes that's enough. Thank you for spending this time with Shattered Stories. If this reached something in you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you're carrying something similar, you know where to find us. We'll be here.